I'm your host, Tyler Rasmussen, and we've partnered up with our friends at Pool Pro Magazine to bring you a monthly news and notes segment on all things pool related. Knowledge is power, and by tuning in each month, you will stay informed on what the public and the industry are talking about. Joining us for these segments is Pool Pro Magazine's editor-in-chief, Megan Kendrick. With over 10 years' experience writing some of the best articles in the industry, we believe she is the perfect person to notify you on what's going on in the pool world that we know and love so much. Without further ado, let's jump into this month's News and Notes episode.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Viafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
Tyler.
What's up?
Long time no see.
Yes. Whole, 4 days?
Maybe, something like that. Yeah, we actually got to see each other in person for the first time in how long?
2 years, close to it.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the show was awesome. It was, I was pretty surprised at how normal it was, to be honest. I thought there'd be a little bit more fist bumps and a little bit more spacing. Nah, it was just like...
No, what I said about hugging, it came to pass. I was like full on hugs all the time.
Yeah, very quickly. Nobody cared.
No, I just, like, there's that human part of you that was just, I was just so excited to see people. I couldn't stop myself.
I don't feel like there's any reserve. Like, I just thought it was weird. Like, you know, the vendors still had masks on, and some of the, you know, the food vendors and some of that, but not any of the pool people.
No. Well, it was interesting. I kind of felt bad a couple of times because every once in a while you would run across someone who was wearing a mask. And there was one time where I kind of like stepped in for the hug, and this guy was wearing a mask, and he clearly was like, no. And I mean, I don't know his situation. Like, he could be immunocompromised. Like, I don't know his personal health history. And so I was like, oh, right, this is not okay in some circles to just do this right now. And, you know, so once again, I, you know, went to a show and embarrassed myself, but it's fine.
Yep, I agree. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, we hung out, went to dinner. Once, more than once. It's all running together at this point. I mean, you wore my husband's clothes, so I think we're like really family now, right?
Yes, for sure.
You glad I brought that up?
Yeah, thanks for the shirt. Appreciate it. But yeah, no, we went to the Pool Nation Awards, which was pretty cool. You know,
yeah, that was really fun.
First
I thought
event,
they did a great job.
I did not know it was a black tie event, so I had to borrow a shirt. Yeah. It still wasn't black tie, but it was a little bit better than a t-shirt.
Yeah, it was close enough. You like pants and a shirt, so I felt like you really went for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't wear pants either usually, so just shorts for me. So yeah, you guys got the best. Just kidding. But no, it was a good time. I mean, it was fun, and you know, it was just so good to do something that felt semi-normal. Yeah, for sure. So we're going to talk about products this episode. We're going to change it up a little bit. And before we jump into the products, we got a few acquisitions since we're the acquisition podcast.
Of course we do. And I feel like we're not telling anything that like people don't know at this point, right? So Fluid Robot Taylor Technologies. I think everybody, I mean, that was huge news. I feel like everybody heard that when it happened and all over the internet.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because most of their acquisitions have made more sense to me. The Taylor one is definitely a whole new way of looking at things, and I think they're going to do some cool integrations with water chemistry. At least that's what it would imply. So I think that's pretty cool that they're taking into that account, and it's definitely a different kind of purchase than their previous ones. Yeah,
absolutely. The other one that I don't think as many people heard about was Oldcastle APG purchased PebbleTech, which I had no idea what Oldcastle APG was. I mean, at first I assumed it was like a venture capital firm or something, but they're actually, I guess, huge in the building industry. And so this fits in with a lot of the other things that they're doing. So that was the other acquisition.
Yeah, Taylor Technologies and PebbleTech are two huge names. So that's still a lot of money coming in.
Yes, it has not stopped. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah. I feel like we'll have some more details on those probably even in the next episode.
Yeah, we just meet our acquisition quota for the news and notes episode. So
yeah, for sure.
All right.
Well, so We wanted to talk about products because, again, like we do kind of keep talking about acquisitions. And so it was like, let's kind of switch things up and go a different vein a little bit and talk about some of the new products that came out in 2021. And so that was our plan for this episode. But I feel like we need to have kind of a caveat at the beginning because sometimes the time between a product is announced and when it actually is shipped can be months and months, and so I feel like there can be some, did this product come out in 2020? Did it come out in 2021? When did it really start? We're not going to worry a whole lot about if it was 2021 or not. We're going to talk about the products that we were talking about in 2021.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, the same, we just talked about earlier, like, you want to make sure a product is actually going to stick around before you really mention it on something like podcast or a magazine, right? So
Yes.
most of what we're talking about today has been around for a little while, and it's some of the new stuff that we saw at the show. And so if you don't know about it, now you will. But yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I am going to just kind of run through a list of some of the new products that people were talking about and using in 2021. So there was the Pentair ChemCheck Rollichem Dual ORP controller. That was the second generation of that product. Poolside Tech, the Attendant, Pivot Solar Breeze Ariel, Jandy AquaLink TCX, Jandy's TrueGuard, CamerEye, the HASA liquid feeder, the Hayward XE series pumps, the AquaStar pipeline cartridge filter, and then the Raypak Avia heater. So those are some of the ones that I had on my list of new products for 2021 that we should hit.
Yeah, they're all great products that has kind of brought some innovation into the industry. So I want to talk about the Attendant real quick because at the show I got kind of a cool walkthrough of that, and
yeah,
it's definitely a different type of automation. Able to control all three major manufacturers, kind of different controls over the actuator valves. It's able to run pretty much anything that you can kind of link up to it. And what's cool about it to me the most is that he came from outside the industry. And I know we say that a lot, or at least we as pool chasers do, but we definitely need some innovation outside of the industry because, when one industry looks at something the same way all the time, you kind of get the same thing over and over again, just a different version of it. So when people come outside the industry, bringing their talents, because I think he had mentioned, and I think we may tell a story at some point down the road, which would be a really cool one to hear. But, he had some background in like drive-through menus and kind of building the technology behind all those and some electronic ones. So, he used that kind of experience to build this, which I think is pretty cool. But I love that talent coming into the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that's cool about this, like you mentioned, they call it a vendor agnostic automation system, which I think that wording is so fantastic. But I mean, when you look at a pool pad, right? And I mean, let's be real, the opportunity in our industry is to take care of the thousands and thousands of pools that already exist. And when you build a pool, a lot of times you use all the same brand of equipment when you first build that pool. But 15 years down the road, have you ever seen a pool that has all the same manufacturer on the pad?
No.
No, you don't. It just doesn't exist. And so as we bring these tools into the 21st century, people are going to want to be able to control them with their phones. They're going to want to have that automation. And I think we need a way that we can provide that for them. And so, yeah, I think this is a great option and something that I'm excited to hopefully see take off.
Yep, for sure. So the Solar Breeze Ariel, we did a full episode on. So that's their kind of next generation of the Solar Breeze. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of a skimmer on top of the water. Check out the episode, but it's pretty awesome for those pools that have a ton of debris in them. My favorite on this list, I think, is the Jandy AquaLink TCX because, here in Arizona, we have a lot of pools that have like one pump, one filter with a time clock. And this basically can automate those. It goes directly in where the time clock is. And it's just a simple automation form, but it's using the existing kind of equipment, which is not typically how automation is done. So I really like that kind of new product.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And I think it's kind of funny. I see this in the magazine when I look back over the years on the products that we've covered, and they kind of go in cycles. So for a while, everyone was like revamping their automation, like the full-blown systems, and all the companies were coming out with new ones. And then we were doing the same thing with variable speed pumps. And then we were doing the same thing with pumps again. But
and then smaller automations. And then pumps
but
again.
now we're getting into this smaller automation where it's like, okay, we've got the full-blown package, but what can we do? You want to replace a time clock with your phone, essentially. So yeah, it's really cool to see how those have come around.
Yeah, and I think they're listening to the industry, and not everybody has $5,000 to drop on automation, so it gives everybody kind of an option to use their phones. And as technology increases, it gets cheaper and cheaper, so you can start building these little things like this. So it's pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So the HASA liquid feeder, I feel like, is another one that was kind of a big deal this year. And again, this is a product that I would say revamped in a second generation, but like, not really. I feel like it's a whole new thing.
Yeah, for sure. They had the liquidator, right? That was what the old one was called. And, it had its own problems. It did its job for a while, but yeah, when the liquid feeder is definitely a huge improvement. And I think it's going to help in a lot of markets where getting, tricolor tabs is pretty hard to do. And in markets that can use liquid feeders, I think it's going to be a game changer for those. So yeah, that was a pretty hot one at the show for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned pumps being kind of a big one, and obviously a lot of that had to do with these new regulations that started in 2021 that I know we've talked about a lot in a lot of places. So Hayward came out with this XE series of pumps, and they're basically just kind of stripped down variable speed pumps that give you all of the energy efficiency, but without some of the bells and whistles that you don't need for more of the simple pools. So it's a great way for you to be able to bring a pool into compliance and not spend a ton of money. And so that was another kind of big one from this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the AquaStar, going along with those products, AquaStar typically, does main drains. They came out with this whole new cartridge filter that kind of Steve Barnes designed. It's a really unique, different system that has a double locking thing, so it can't really blow the top off, but it's a really cool design, so we'll have links to that. I really liked seeing that kind of innovative change to a filter, because they always kind of look the same.
Yeah, and so the Raypak Avia heater, that was something that I actually don't know much about because it was new at the show, and so I didn't get a chance to go through and see the whole spiel about it, but I think you got to see them talk about it, didn't you, Tyler?
I did, yeah. They have a new kind of van that they're taking around to different distributions and showing, which I think is pretty cool concept. So it kind of has wheels out of the doors, and it has the whole setup on the pad, and it's pretty cool. But it's kind of a version competing with the Master Temp or Jandy JXI. It's kind of a more boxy looking heater, which typically Raypak is kind of tall and different looking, so it kind of will fit in where you would typically put a Master Temp or a JXI, that square based kind of heater. So, and it's got Wi-Fi enabled controls. I think it has an app, some different stuff to it. So, it's kind of their version of competing with that, but it's a pretty cool heater. Definitely different.
So I feel like the last thing is the CamerEye and the SwamCam. These are two sort of AI pool safety systems. And again, I don't know enough about them to be able to tell you the exact differences between the two of them. But again, I think this is another thing where you're starting to see people come from outside the industry with technology that can really be helpful and save lives. So that obviously is pretty exciting to see too.
Yeah, hopefully they come up with some cool technology for that. There seems to be a lot more attention being given to that area. So pretty cool.
Yeah. And so coming up in January, there are lots of events. Are you going to some of the January events?
I probably will go to the desert show because it's here.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a one-day event.
Yeah, right. So the desert pool and spa shows in Phoenix. Classes are January 13th through 15th, and then the expo is January 15th, which I think is a Saturday, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
That's typically how they do it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably go to that one. I don't think I'm going to go to the Texas or the Atlantic City show this year, but
What?
Go ahead and mention them.
Okay. So the Southwest Pool and Spa Show, January 19th through the 22nd in San Antonio. I've never been to that show. I feel like it's on my list to get to at some point. It just never comes at a good time for me.
Yeah, it's a cool show though, because I mean, their biggest kind of attraction is they feed you lunch both days, which is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
it's
free food.
Because it's like Texas lunch and like catered in and really good. Whereas typically at trade shows, you buy the $20 freaking soggy fries.
It's so bad.
Soggy
Trade show food is so bad. Just awful. The worst.
Yeah. So they had like Texas barbecue, I think one year, like full on, barbecue layout. So that's pretty cool for them. And they have a lot of good education, cool service show. And the best thing about the Texas show is everybody's so friendly. Much different than some of the other shows where, they'll just talk to you forever about whatever. And it's really kind of a more relaxed type show. So I really like that one.
If Oklahoma had a trade show, it would look like
that. Yes.
Oh, speaking of which, okay, so talk about Oklahoma being nice people and Texans being nice people.
Yeah.
I forgot my clothes when I went to Dallas, and so a stranger brought them to me. I got to Dallas. It's a 3-hour drive from my house. Sitting in traffic, and all of a sudden I went and realized that I forgot all of my dress clothes hanging in my bathroom. And so, my parents handed them off to a stranger in a Love's parking lot. And then he drove it to me in Dallas, and we handed it off in a grocery store parking lot.
Really?
So strangers helping strangers.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta love that hospitality of the Midwest.
Yeah, pretty great.
For sure.
So
what about
obviously,
the Atlantic City?
Yeah, the Atlantic City show, the Pool and Spa show, that is January 25th through the 27th, and we will have a booth there and be there. So even if Tyler is lame and doesn't come to Atlantic City in January,
right.
The rest of you should definitely stop by and say hi.
I'm a California boy with Arizona blood now. It's not my favorite.
I know, but
cold in January
we had a good time in Atlantic City. Like we had a nice dinner and hung out, and
That's true.
I feel like that Atlantic City show a couple of years ago was just a lot of fun.
It was.
I think it's because it's so cold that no one has anything to do except for eat and drink.
Probably. The cool thing about that show, and I always talk about it, is that they get to bring kind of their whole teams. Where there's, teams of 20, teams of 30 people there because they're not servicing pools in the wintertime up in those regions. And that is super cool to me. So the training there is, I think, by far the best. And Greg Garrett used to tell me that all the time. Like, that's why that's honestly actually why I went to that show, is because of Greg Garrett said I had to go. So I went for him.
No, they absolutely put on a great show there. They do a great job. It's always well attended, and yeah, like their education is always top notch. So I agree with that completely.
For sure. Well, let's talk about Pool Pro.
Okay.
Let's let me say that again. So let's talk about Pool Pro.
I think we definitely need to leave this part in.
Yes. So let's talk about Pool Pro magazine. It's definitely staying in.
Yeah, we're
article.
professional speakers.
So happens we do it at 9:00 at night.
Yeah.
But anyways, your article, ma'am.
Yes. So I wanted to talk about our Pool Ops article in this last November-December issue called Pump Up the Perks. A lot of alliteration there. So this article has been trending on our website, and I think for obvious reasons, like hiring right now is just so incredibly painful. I don't think that this story just like has a panacea or can fix that problem for you, but it does talk about some of the issues that people are facing with hiring, and some things that people are doing to try to get and keep employees. So that's an interesting read. Nice. One way or the other.
While you're talking, all I could hear in my head was kind of pump the jam, pump it up. Sorry, that's all. That's all that's going through my head.
No, sometimes when I look at what, like, reading a headline versus saying it out loud is not the same thing. And I realized the other day, I was like, we probably need to not be so cute. I'm not sure it really serves us well on the web or when I'm trying to speak out loud on Pool Chasers.
Yeah, it's all right. I think it's a good article, though. Check it out.
Gee, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, where can people get Pool Pro Magazine?
Pool Pro Magazine. So first of all, go to our website, poolpromag.com. Sign up for a subscription, or you can pick it up for free at SPSCP and Superior Pool Products locations. I made my husband come and work the booth for me in Dallas, and all of the acronyms in the pool industry is real rough if you don't know what they are.
Yes.
So SCP, SPP, NPP, his brain was blown.
Right? Yeah, for sure. He did a good job. He did a good job holding it down.
That's right.
So
and handing out clothes.
But yeah, no, it was a good time. So anyways, happy holidays. It's the last one before the new year. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, it is, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Happy
So Thanksgiving is this week.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You know what Mia told me she wanted for Christmas the other day?
What?
I said, what do you want for Christmas? And she said, I want a puppy to lick my face.
Nice.
Does that just not melt your heart? Like, that is the
Very
best
cute.
Christmas present I've ever heard of. A puppy to lick my face.
Nice. You gonna deliver it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Our neighbor has a puppy, so I will definitely be bringing it over for some face licking.
There you go. That's the best. Not your own puppy. Just bring some other puppy.
100%.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you in the new year. Hopefully, we'll see you at trade shows.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to learn more, you can hit the link in the show notes below or visit poolchasers.com. If you'd like to learn more about Pool Pro Magazine, pick up the latest issue at your local SCP or Superior and visit them at poolpromag.com. See you out there, Pool Chasers.